Hey everyone, and welcome to Mindcoast. Thank you all for being here as we head towards the realization of our very best selves together. Feel free to participate in the reflection at your own pace. We're all together in spirit. Intention 3. Alone, not lonely. Do you ever find yourself lonely? Are there people that can keep you from feeling lonely? But there are still times when they just can't bring you full peace of mind. Can you be fully transparent with them and feel understood? Or do you feel the need to juggle what you can tell them around their perception of you? Is there more to you than they are willing to understand? Do you feel that they're encouraging you to become someone you're not, or uphold standards that have no personal significance? How much of your life and your decision making is dictated by the standards and opinions of others? And how different would your life be without them? How different would your relationships be without conforming to their construction of you? And what does that say about their significance? How comfortable can we be with space? No one is meant to live in isolation. But how do we determine where in our relationships that we can be self-reliant? What can be found within each of us that gives enough strength and clarity to create our own peace of mind? To begin our discussion, let's consider for a moment, is the feeling of loneliness a choice? And is being alone an inherently bad thing? Naturally speaking, we're all configured to thrive in coexistence. But on a more profound level of thought, is feeling as though the people currently in our lives aren't who we want them to be, or can't provide what we want from that relationship, something we should seek to overcome externally by inviting new people into our lives? Or instead, is that void actually more room for us to grow? When we think about loneliness, for most of us, that past or present experience hasn't persisted in a state of complete isolation from all outside contact, but rather, what's so prevalent in our world today and continuously spread through social media is a sense of identity that's misaligned in association. And as a result, we develop a dissatisfaction in what our core relationships offer us. Our natural desire to conform and feel belonging extends itself into every setting that we enter. And whether we feel acceptance or insecurity is instinctually dependent on how others see us. As we grow older, and our surroundings grow not just in size, but also complexity, so does that desire to feel outward acceptance and understanding. But when we focus so much of our attention outwardly, and by extension, our confidence drifts away from us, our sense of completion develops into a need for reception and attention from others. Getting lost in that outward search ultimately gives in to the fatigue and weight of feeling inadequate and constantly chasing and concerning over acknowledgement. And eventually, those feelings evolve into envy and resentment towards the people around us who found contentment for themselves, or even just appeared to have done so. The more that we act on those insecurities, the further we entrap ourselves inside them. But the truth is that no matter how many or what kind of relationships we think are enough to get us through each moment or feel important, none of them can ever be relied on at all times. Whether it's for understanding, for support, or just to feel included, no one else can be the solution to our own vulnerability. And that's true even for our core relationships. With that in mind, should there really be so much hesitance towards not just acceptance, but comfort in being alone? Self-sufficiency isn't inherently attainable, and its path is different for everyone. But striving for self-reliance, wherever it's currently possible, is worthwhile for each of us. The only presence we'll ever be able to truly rely on is our own. A lot of us would agree that the older we get, the harder it is to develop friendships that exist because of more than just geographical, occupational, or habitual similarities. Part of what makes relationship building progressively more difficult through each stage of our lives is that social hierarchies become increasingly more active and of concern. The criteria for what constitutes desirability may evolve with each stage of life we pass through, but what remains unanimous throughout is the growing prevalence of needing to fit in. Our coming of age brings with it an increase in autonomy and opportunity, but with so much priority and concern for social validation existing at the same time. Modeling ourselves to appeal towards what's popular, whether that's in pursuing relationships or in taking up new interests and hobbies, is much more immediately gratified than standing firm and resolving to growth in one's individuality. From the simplest form of chasing approval, in which we forcefully characterize ourselves to win over the respect of our peers, to the more complicated ways in which we seek to present ourselves favorably towards the people we're seeking opportunities from. Those ways in which we give up our true natures for the sake of potentialities received through and from others is the main root for our peace and confidence detaching itself from us. Eventually, the approval and recognition from our surroundings is the only thing we'll look for to feel affirmation or find comfort. But what's more dangerous, and oftentimes it goes without acknowledgement, is that in the unfortunateness of falling short or losing the recognition from others in whom we've placed our own confidence in, our response to that is so easily directed into living in resentment or in spiteful protest of those standards we subscribe to, because of our natural sensitivity to feeling inadequate and hence rejected. No matter how close someone is to us or how highly we regard them, resting our solution to loneliness and self-uncertainty outside of ourselves will always have us at a search for what should be enough for comfort. The truth behind all of this is that as greatly as we each benefit from the goodness and support of our family and friends, as individuals, each of our lives is meant to diverge into its own unique course of placement and growth. And that requires us to be willing to venture into what may not be understood or accompanied by those around us. Stepping into the fullness of our own presence and being able to remain there in serenity is how we take hold of the assurance we need in order to make our self-image and realization fully personal. Transitioning to self-reliance in any regard is challenging, but what's within reach for everyone at any point in their life is being at peace with space. If we can build ourselves up to at least not be in need of company to experience the world or validate what's important, there will be so much more freedom that we can live with. The first step is for us to trace within the understandings our experiences have developed and question. In what ways have we resorted outside of ourselves to make us feel complete? Do I worry about not having enough friends or the right friends at this point in my life, or how socially desirable I'm perceived as, and what I can do to affect that? If any of these concerns have infiltrated our inner peace and how we see ourselves, then it's important for us to acknowledge that weakness as an area for correction. It's hard not to socially compare ourselves in today's media-driven world, and that only becomes more true and apparent from adolescence on, because our stability and overall satisfaction in life is so heavily measured by outward appearances. That kind of mindset is why more than ever, so many of us obsess over having enough friends in comparison to what we see from others. It's what gives way to our selective connectivity that's foundation is only based in a need for an association that proves our own status and desirability. Without directly confronting these feelings, we stray further away from understanding not just the extent of confidence, capability, and self-appreciation that we can grow to draw upon individually, but also the proper way in which our relationships should be based upon and transpire. With our third intention, alone, not lonely, our journey is to come to the fullest understanding that in every moment, each of us can be more than enough for ourselves. The deeper that we grow in our understanding of self, detached from outward standards and social comparison, the stronger our own recognition of self-value will pervade through our lives, and the more happiness we'll be able to hold within ourselves. Finding and building connections is a beautiful thing, but being able to move and flourish in solitude is just as important and feels just as fulfilling. Thanks for being here, everyone, and I hope we meet again. Peace.